Hi, my name is Malcolm. I'm here with the Champaign-Urbana Community Fab Lab, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do digital embroidery. So to start with, we're going to look at the machine that we're using. This is the Brother SE600. Here it's set up for embroidery, which I'll show you how to do shortly. Here we have some of the tools that we'll be using. So we have a screwdriver, a small screwdriver, which we'll be using to change out the presser foot. We have a pair of thread scissors, which can be helpful for a lot of things. We have a piece of canvas, which is what we'll be embroidering on. We also have the embroidery hoop itself. Of course, we'll also need thread and possibly stabilizer. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get the machine ready for embroidery by turning it off, unplugging the pedal, and then changing the foot. So currently this is a sewing foot. We're going to loosen the set screw on the left using a screwdriver and raise the presser foot post and move the sewing foot out of the way. Then you're going to get an embroidery foot. Make sure you have the right one. It's going to look something like this. You can lower the presser foot lever. It's going to bring the post down, and that's going to let you fit the embroidery foot on like so. And then you're going to tighten in this set screw. So first you're going to hand tighten it, and then once it's tight enough with that, make sure that you really get it set with the screwdriver. You don't want this getting loose because it can break a needle if it's off. It should feel very form and flush, and it should go up and down without any problem. Okay, then we're going to take off this front piece. This is going to prepare us for attaching the embroidery carriage. And take the embroidery carriage itself and just slide it on. We're going to adjust our tension to make sure that it's between 2 and 6. We don't want it to be too high to start with, so I'm going to set it around 3. And then we're going to show you how to set up with a file. So if you have a file ready on a USB, just plug it in and then switch the machine back on. Once it loads, you'll need to tap the screen. It'll warn you about moving the carriage. Just hit OK. You should hear it move. You can go to that sub USB icon and then find your file, tap it once, and then hit set. And then in the edit window, you can do various things. So you can move it around. This is going to affect where it actually gets embroidered on your medium. You can also scale it up or down. So there's a lot of last minute adjustments you can do to the size, shape. You can also rotate. So if you want to shift a design or to flip it for some reason, say for instance to put it on a shirt at a weird angle, you can look at the individual threads. This is each piece of stitch data that the machine will be using. So you can check those individually, change their color. And then finally, you can check the perimeter for where it will actually embroider. So this will also affect where it starts if you leave it at one of these, but this will show you the extremities of your patch, and it will let you know where it is safe for you to embroider. So once you've done that, you can hit embroidery in the bottom right, and then you can see the first color and your coming up ones. So next we're going to load the embroidery hoop. I'm going to start by just using a basic piece of canvas. This is a pretty standard thing to use. You want to make sure that this inner hoop is the right way up, so the arrows are facing each other, and you want to place your canvas inside of that. You want it to not be over any of the edges, the table, or anything like that, and then you're going to press this in to fit. It should wedge the canvas between the inner and the outer hoop. If it's too tight, like it is here, you can loosen that set screw, and then that'll let you give you a little bit more play that you can push it in with. Now, you don't want to be too loose, so I'm going to go back and try to check, make sure that that's pretty taut. You don't want to force that screw either, because you can break a frame. And then you want to make sure that there's as few wrinkles as possible in your fabric. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of prying out at the edges while keeping the hoop pressed down so that it doesn't pop out. Then I'm going to check the bottom, and you can see it's kind of loose, so I'm just adjusting it the little bits here to make sure that everything's very secure. We don't want the hoop popping out mid-embroidery. So the other options you have to do is with lighter weight fabrics. So for shirts or anything like that, you're going to want to actually use stabilizer. So there are two main kinds of stabilizer we use. We have cutaway, which you can see is pretty rigid, and then we have a tearaway, which is a lot easier to remove in that sense, but less durable. We also have a water soluble, which I don't show here, but if you're using water soluble, you would just put that on top of the stack. So first we put down our stabilizer, in this case cutaway, then we put down our fabric, and then we would put water soluble stabilizer if we wanted to use that as well. Other than that, it's exactly the same as before. We just get the hoop in place and make sure that there are no wrinkles and that everything is taut. Yeah, so next we're going to thread the needle. I'm going to start by loading the upper thread like this. Now, you know what color of thread you need based on your patch information. You're going to go first through number 1, and you can follow the solid line. So we're going to go around this white tooth and then down the front of the machine, up around this bottom loop, following 3, and then up at 4. There's that little metal hook in there. You're going to need to make sure that your thread gets caught on it by kind of going out and around, and then down, back down the channel you just came up, following 5. And then down at the needle, there's 6. So I'm going to show you first how to use auto threaders, which most of these machines have, but I'm also going to show you how to hand thread it. If you're using the auto threader, you go up to 7. You make sure that the thread gets situated in that groove. Then you drop the presser foot, cut off excess thread with step 8, and then push down on step 9, which is this lever. And it should do this where you get a loop of thread poking out the back of the needle. Once it's there, you grab it and you pull the short end of the thread through, leaving the long end of the thread. Now it would be ready to embroider, but I'm going to take that out. And then if you were hand threading it, you would want to cut a fresh thread or else use beeswax to get a fine end, and then just gently guide it through the eye of the needle. It's going to be a little tedious, but it's a good skill to know because the auto threaders can often fail. So then to actually run the embroidery, first we want to load our embroidery hoop into the carriage. We're going to lift the presser foot, slide the embroidery hoop under, and then as you can see up in the top there, I'm going to pop that down into place. Then we can hit the go button, and it will just start whatever's at the top of the thread if our file's loaded. I'm going to stop it after running initially just to make sure everything's in place, and since it's good, then we just let it go. If we had an excessively long excess thread, we would want to cut it before it starts going full speed. Okay, and so when our first thread finishes, it will auto cut. We just take out the upper thread. It will show us our next color here. So we load up another thread just like before, and then we hit go. Okay, so once it's finished embroidery, you're going to raise the presser foot, squeeze that metal tab, and lift the hoop up and out. Just slide it forward. And then you can just pop it right out of that frame. So there's a clean patch, and you can look at the back. It should look something like that. Thanks for watching. I hope that this was helpful.